Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of War Machines. So thus far, we have completed the 10 heats, the Lost Bracket, where we saw the first Grand Final spot get claimed, and then we got 10 semifinals down, where 10 robots were awarded spots in the Grand Final. All the robots were able to win their bracket and secure a spot in there. But there's 16 robots in this bracket, and only 11 of those spots have been determined. So how are those other 5 to be determined? Well, those other 5 spots are going to be determined at the end of these next 4 episodes. The 4th episode of this set, basically. We will determine those 5 spots. So how it's going to work is, using the robots that were awarded 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place, at least the 6 robots who were awarded wildcard spots into this point based on their tournament performance so far this season. Basically, they will fight it out in a series of not 1 but 2 brackets to determine those spots. So featured tonight and in the next episode, we will see the bracket featuring the 10 robots who were awarded 3rd place, and then the 6 robots who got 4th place in the semifinals that were awarded wildcards. The idea is the top 6 robots of this bracket, and these 6 robots will be determined by the end of the next episode, will join the 10 robots who were awarded runner-up, 2nd place in the semifinals in that bracket. And those 16 robots will then fight it out in those last 2 episodes where the top 5 will gain spots in the grand final. So, we got a fun 4 episodes that will be coming, and I guarantee we're going to see so many hard-fought fights. So, let's go ahead and check out the bracket featuring the 10 3rd place robots and the 6 4th place robots that made it to this point in the tournament. Alright, so we're going to go through this bracket quadrant by quadrant here, and we're going to start off at the top right there, where the favorite to win this entire bracket, that given the 1 seed, is Shrederator, who is ruthless in majority of their matchups from this season, absolutely tearing apart their opponents with that full body spinner, but then a showdown with Foxic 2 caused them to fall just short of that, but they did perform well enough to get 3rd place in that semifinal. Taking on Shrederator will be Foxic, who has had some really solid performances this season, and definitely worthy to be in this spot, definitely worthy of another chance, as this robot, they might have lost a few more times, but they definitely had some good losses in there, as well as some rock-solid victories too. Foxic is definitely not one to underestimate, even if they are the 16th seed. Right below there, we'll have the 8 and the 9 seed, Beta and Big Nipper. So Beta, with that devastating hammer, managed to win their way through, causing quite a bit of damage with that hammer. Unfortunately, a fight with Hades caused them to, once again, come just short of a grand final spot, but Beta performed very well in their battle for 3rd place with Steel Avenger to get a spot here. And then Big Nipper kind of falls in the same category right there. A fight with Apollo, who won that semifinal, bit them there, but then had a rock-solid performance in their 3rd place showdown to get to this spot. This should be a great matchup. Let's go to another quadrant, where it features the 2-seeded Beast 2, who is a ruthless flipper, who is well known for, that power right there, and has flung several opponents out of the arena right there, and they had such a close decision that did not go their way to Breaker Box, but definitely worthy of that other chance with how quickly they dealt with Megabyte in their 3rd place match. Taking on Beast 2 will be Steel Avenger with that powerful hammer. Some pretty solid victories by Steel Avenger, and some pretty close losses as well. And Steel Avenger, another one not to underestimate. Right below there, we'll have the 7-seed Tsunami, who, another powerful flipper, got out-flipped by Eruption, but then managed to toss Aftershock out of the way in their path to victory to get to this spot. Taking on Tsunami will be Micro, who definitely proved that being the bully of the arena can definitely win you fights. Because, definitely all of their fights so far has come from them scooping up their opponents, dropping that saw on them and just controlling the match altogether, not giving their opponents many options to fight back. Now right down below there, we'll have the 3-seeded Kronic, another powerful flipper, and definitely the favorite to that quadrant. Taking on Kronic will be Eric, who has proven that this is not a robot to underestimate, as they pulled off a few upsets during this season, but then their last 2 fights just did not go their way. However, watch out for that flipper right there, as never know. Like, literally let your guard down for a second and that flipper will bite you right in the back there. Then finally in that quadrant, we have the 6-seeded Gravity with another powerful flipper who, yeah, came up short when they took on Salad Tosser, but then dealt with Eric pretty handily in their 3rd place match to get here, and definitely showed why that's a flipper you don't want to underestimate. Then right down below here, the top seed of all the wild cards, all the 4th place robots that got a spot here, Aftershock, with those 2 powerful vertical spinners who've torn apart multiple robots in this competition. It's too bad reliability in their own spinners held them back from winning their past 2 fights, but definitely Aftershock is one you will not want to underestimate. Finally, let's go to quadrant 4, where we got the 4-seeded Bullfrog, another powerful flipper, right there, who came up just short in a hard-fought fight with PP3D in their semifinal, but had a solid performance against Tilly in order to get to this spot. Taking on Bullfrog will be Lucid Dream with that horizontal spinner right there. Lucid Dream, another one who's dealt with some weapon reliability problems this season, but definitely if they can cause the damage, they could definitely pull off the upset. Then finally, we got the 5-seeded Noisy Cricket with that powerful hammer right there, who definitely had a hard-fought loss to Carbide, but then pulled off a stunning victory over Nightmare in order to get to this spot. And then taking on Noisy Cricket will be Megabyte, who had a few solid victories early on, but then those 2 losses to Sewer Snake and Beast 2 were not exactly so nice, but they did perform well enough to get a wild card here and a pretty solid seed too, so definitely another one you won't want to underestimate. I think that's enough of me talking here, because I guarantee lots of you are here for the fights. Let's go ahead and get to our first matchup. We're going to start right there, actually. We're going to lead it off with the 5-seeded Noisy Cricket and the 12-seeded Megabyte. One problem that Noisy Cricket has had this season so far is that robot really relies on winning the ground game. Like, it has to get underneath and scoop up an opponent in order to be able to use that hammer right there and cause the damage that it's so well known for here. But Megabyte might be a solid opponent for them, because Megabyte, if they can pop Megabyte into the air and right onto that front, that shell should be easy picking for them. But Megabyte's going to be trying to avoid that. They're probably going to want to go for those sides, try to go for the exposed wheels, like what Carbide looked for. And yeah, definitely should be a good showdown. Should be a great matchup to start the night. Let's go ahead and get right to this one. Time for this matchup to begin here. Megabyte getting the weapon up to speed and getting underneath Noisy Cricket. Are they lower than Noisy Cricket? That is unbelievable, and that could be a real game changer right there. And getting underneath once again and hitting the underside is Megabyte right there. Great start for Megabyte right now, who's now at the sides trying to get a wheel, but their spinner wasn't spun up. Nice hit right there that flips Noisy Cricket over. Noisy Cricket trying to self-right. Megabyte taking advantage, compensating very well for the fact that Noisy Cricket is struggling right now. Good hit by Megabyte once again here. Noisy Cricket's in some deep trouble if they can't right themselves, but Megabyte helps them right there. Great series of shots by Megabyte right there. Huge hit, and off comes the weapon of Noisy Cricket right there. Popped Megabyte into the air like what they probably wanted to, but it sure didn't end the way they wanted to, because now Noisy Cricket has no hammer for the remainder of this match. We are only a minute into this one, and off comes a wheel right there. Noisy Cricket is not moving right there, and off comes the other wheel. Is that going to do it for Noisy Cricket right there, who is now motionless in the corner? No wheels, no traction, no movement, other than the movement that they are getting from Megabyte hitting them over and over again. What a fight by Megabyte right here. And this is what I call redemption after their 2 losses to Sewer Snake and Beast 2. Now they just don't need to screw up right now. Oh, because if they do fling themselves out of the arena before the countdown ends, that could be it. That'll still be it for Megabyte. But right now, Megabyte flipped over, trying to self-right, but Noisy Cricket is being counted out. It's looking like this is going to be a victory for Megabyte, and Megabyte will be moving on to the next round. So already, right off the bat, the underdog managed to prove that even though they were in even though they got 4th place in their semifinal, don't underestimate that robot one bit right there. As the 13 seed dealt with the 5 seed very well in this one, and no, 12 seed, it was Megabyte right there. But either way though, that was a solid performance by Megabyte, great driving from them right there. Managed to flip Noisy Cricket a few times, compensated so well in that fight, then eventually decapitated Noisy Cricket of that weapon, and then plucked off the wheel one by one, leaving Noisy Cricket unable to move, and Megabyte will be in the next round, where they will take on the winner of Bullfrog and Lucid Dream. But before we get to that fight, we're going to go over to quadrant number 3, where we're going to see the 3-seeded Kronic, who is going to take on the 14-seeded Eric. So what this one is definitely going to come down to is Kronic and Eric right now, 2 flippers. We got another awesome flipper battle coming, and this one's going to come down to who can win the ground game between the 2 of them. Because I'd say like 4 out of every 5 fights that are between flippers are won based off of who can win the ground game between those 2. And yeah, so this one's no different, but you never know what could happen here, because we do have 2 flippers that are not to be underestimated here. So I think it's time to get this underway, and let's get this flipper battle done with. Time for this match to begin, and now Kronic getting underneath lands a light flip right there. Eric trying to self-right using their self-righting system. Kronic a little flip once again. Not the power we're used to seeing from Kronic right now. Well, there's a decent flip right there. Better than the other 3 we've seen so far. Another nice flip that almost gets Eric out of the arena. Instead, it ends up activating the pit button here. Both robots trying to self-right. It ends up being Eric who self-rights. But Eric couldn't really take advantage of that, of the opportunity of them self-righting first between the 2 of them. Eric right now really struggling just to get underneath Kronic, but now Eric getting tossed once again. A couple more nice flips from Kronic right now. Beautiful flip once again. And Kronic taking Eric into another corner right now. It's been all Kronic so far. But now Kronic jumped up in the air. Eric's underneath them now and landing a couple of flips of their own here. Could this be Eric's moment right now? Could that one driving air of Kronic be key right now? Oh, a couple more nice flips from Eric, just not letting Kronic, but now pushing them towards the rails right now. Think they're going for the out of the arena right now. Can they succeed? Oh, and he got him out of the arena right there. A solid comeback victory from Eric right there. I gotta say, that fight sure started off not going in Eric's direction right there. Because I'd say the first, like, 2/3 to 3/4 of that match, it was all Kronic, just constantly getting underneath Eric time and time again, landing so many brutal flips. And then eventually, Eric took advantage of Kronic being upwards in order to get underneath Kronic, that just landed flip after flip, just was relentless towards that robot, and then eventually got them against the arena rails, and then gave them enough of a tap to get them out of the arena in order to win this fight. A solid victory by Eric. We are now, now the underdogs are 2-0 so far, as Megabyte and Eric, both underdogs in their matchup seeding-wise, advance to the next round, and are one step closer to a wildcard spot into the grand final. So now coming up next, we're going to go straight to the top here. We're going to see the top-seeded Shrederator, who is going to take on the 16-seeded Foxic. So what this one's going to come down to is Foxic going up against another dangerous spinner here. They fought a few dangerous spinners so far this season, and definitely Shrederator is no different. Foxic's strategy is almost certainly going to be box rush Shrederator, try to knock them out of control, and then get them into the pit or knock them out of the arena before the damage really starts to stack up, like what we're so used to seeing Shrederator do to their opponents. Yeah, and Shrederator, on the other hand, try to avoid the box rush, break apart Foxic piece by piece in order to win this battle. Should have another good showdown on the underway. Can we see Foxic continue the trend of the underdog taking out the higher seed? Let's find out, and let's get to this matchup. Time for this matchup to begin here. Shrederator spinning out of control, trying to get right side up once again into their comfort zone, as we've seen. If you need a reminder, I'll talk about it at the end of this. But yeah, Shrederator testing that wedge right there, not working so well for them. I think they're trying to pluck off the wedge like what they did with Suicidal Tendencies in Matilda when Shrederator took on both those robots here. But so far, Foxic seems to be controlling the brunt of this and avoiding damage pretty well. Right now, Shrederator spinning out of control. Here comes Foxic, who's lost their top panel right there. Not a good start exactly, because that is some key damage right there, and the damage that may have costed them when they took on 900. But now Foxic loses a wheel right there. Those overhead attacks are really costing Foxic right now. Foxic really needs to avoid taking hits from above right now. Keep the hits on their wedge rather than their top right now, because clearly that is not working out for them. It's really working in Shrederator's favor. And now we got smoke. We got some more hits on the top from Shrederator, and now Foxic is smoking and on big time control board damage right now. Foxic could be in serious trouble. It looks like they lose their front right there, and they lose another wheel, and another wheel, and another wheel. Holy crap. Shrederator has now dismantled Foxic, and Foxic, I think this is going to be it for that robot, as that robot is now scattered all over the arena. That was a classic 20 seconds from Shrederator. Classic Shrederator moments, or something like that right there. Started off looking like Foxic might be able to pull it off there, but now they've lost everything within like 20 to 30 seconds. Lost all their wheels, lost their lifter, and yeah, and Shrederator decides they want some more right there. I think they want the control board KO, since Foxic is very close to it right now. We got less than a minute to go in this fight right now. I think it's safe to say Shrederator probably has this one, as long as they don't fuck up right there. So yeah, less than a minute to go. Shrederator just needs to back off right now. I guess they want to make a statement or something. I don't know. But yeah, anyway, Shrederator just keeps moving right now. Now 30 seconds left to go for them to get that control board KO. But his Shrederator looks like little taps right there, knocking Foxic right back into the rails right now. 20 seconds left to go. Looks like Shrederator is backing off. A countdown is going on Foxic, and it's looking like the top seed is going to advance to the next round. And now you probably see why Shrederator is the favorite to win this bracket right now. So yeah, if you're wondering why Shrederator was driving like that compared to how it drives in like the DSL IRL mod, and you haven't seen its semifinal episode, what's going on is like the transfer from Shrederator to the DSL to the Robot Wars mod. I think the wheels are now more on the top side or something like that, or I don't know exactly what, but the structure of the internals of that robot kind of changed, and so now Shrederator runs better upside down like that, which is kind of weird but also kind of cool. So we'll just put it at that. But great victory by Shrederator, dismantling another opponent. Shrederator doing exactly what Shrederator does best. And they will be moving on to the next round, where they are going to be taking on the winner of Beta and Big Nipper. But that fight is happening later, because coming up next, we got the 4-seeded Bullfrog, who is going to take on the 13-seeded Lucid Dream. So we got Bullfrog, who has taken on a few horizontal spinners so far, and they're going to get another horizontal spinner right here in Lucid Dream. So Bullfrog's definitely going to have another test of their durability, because like they did hold up very well against Barbarous, who is a vertical spinner, more of a vert than a horizontal. But then when they took on PP3D and their horizontal spinner, they lost that flipper partway into that match, and that was probably what caused their downfall in that match, and why they weren't in the fight with Blast Rights for a grand final spot. But never underestimate Lucid Dream. Lucid Dream has had a few hardcore matches of their own, like that victory against Dantom Kia, and that devastating victory they got in 3 Stegs to Heaven. Lucid Dream's definitely going to be aiming for avoiding the front of Bullfrog, because they've proven to be vulnerable to flippers just as much as they are to spinners, but even though they can drive inverted. Regardless though, another great fight should be coming. I think let's go ahead and get right to this one and find out who's going to take on Megabyte in the next round in the next episode. Time for this match to begin here. Both robots meeting in the middle. Nice hit by a Lucid Dream, but they seem to have gotten the worst of that one because they are already smoking. And Bullfrog struggling to get underneath them. Nice hit right there. It's like Bullfrog seems to be firing the flipper a little too early right now. And looks like they fired a little late this time. I wonder where we saw something like this. Sub-Zero and Bloodsport. But yeah, there you go. So, yeah, charging right in there. Here, Lucid Dream takes a little lift right there. Got the timing pretty well right there, but that was a mistimed flip right there. And Lucid Dream taking advantage of that right now, landing a few nice hits. But so far, not very much damage, but that could very easily change because we're a little over a minute into this fight. As of right now, I would say Lucid Dream is winning this match, but definitely that smoke is definitely putting Bullfrog a little bit closer right there. Bullfrog trying to capitalize on Lucid Dream spinning out of control. Did okay of a job at that. There's the first big flip, I'd say. Another big flip by Bullfrog right there. A couple well done flips right there. Same thing with that right there, I'd say. Here's same thing there. They're just knocking Lucid Dream off balance here. This is where Bullfrog needs to take advantage. Nice flip right there from Bullfrog. Oh, that frog is making Lucid Dream hop like a frog, actually. Nice hit from Lucid Dream right there, but Lucid Dream's spinner seems to be off balance. I think that horizontal spinner lost a tooth in the progress of this match here, and right now, Bullfrog taking advantage of that. Watch those mistimed flips, though. They were not even close to underneath Lucid Dream. I wonder if something's wrong with Bullfrog, but maybe not, because that was a nice flip right there from them. Still definitely something to watch out for is those mistimed flips by Bullfrog, as all the hits that Lucid Dream has been, all the big hits Lucid Dream has been landing so far has been just because of so many mistimed attempts with that flipper right there. So, a few more nice hits from Lucid Dream right there, but still not a lot of damage is being caused. Right now, I would probably say Bullfrog is on top, but probably not by much. Nice flip right there from Bullfrog that puts Lucid Dream on control board damage, and another misflip that allows Lucid Dream to land a few more nice hits right there with that horizontal spinner. 30 seconds left to go in this match. Nice flip from Bullfrog once again. I think they're trying to get Lucid Dream out of the arena, avoid a judge's decision once again, and they don't have to go to the judge's decision, and not even with an out of the arena, because they just control board KO'd Lucid Dream, and Bullfrog will be taking on Megabyte in the next round. So, it was a relatively solid victory from Bullfrog, but that fight probably could have been driven a little better, because I'd say like a third to half of those flips were mistimed right there, and resulted in Lucid Dream landing a huge hit on Bullfrog, knocking them back. Thankfully, Bullfrog held up very well to those shots and didn't seem to take that much damage. But definitely they're going to want to get those driving mistakes figured out before their next fight with Megabyte, because I guarantee if they screw up like that in the fight with Megabyte, Bullfrog might have a harder time recovering if they're not careful. Either way, a win is a win. Bullfrog will be moving on, and we'll see that matchup in the next episode. But we still got some more matchups to determine, and because we're halfway through the night fight-wise. And we're going to go over to the 2-seeded Beast 2, who's going to take on the 15-seeded Steel Avenger for our next matchup. So right now, Steel Avenger going up against another flipper right here. Definitely their big disadvantage with flippers is the fact that Steel Avenger has little to no ground game of their own, at least for this design. And that's definitely something Beast 2 is going to be trying to take advantage of, try to get underneath that robot and just toss them around, because Steel Avenger cannot hit Beast 2 with that hammer if Steel Avenger's up in the air. So that's definitely going to be Beast 2's strategy. Steel Avenger is almost certainly going to be trying to avoid that flipper of Beast 2 and get as many hits in with that hammer, and try to cause as much damage as possible. But that might take a while, because Beast 2 is probably one of the more durable flippers in this entire mod. So I think the only real damage I think we've really seen them take was the Lost Wheel when they fought Salad Tosser last season, if I remember correctly. But either way, though, another great match should be coming. Let's find out if Steel Avenger can pull it off, or if the favorites to win this match is going to be the one advancing. Let's get right to this showdown. Time for this match to begin here. Steel Avenger takes a very early flip early on, tried to get a hit in with that hammer, but now they're at the sides of Beast 2 right there. So I'll try to hit him with the self-rider, but didn't work out so well. Beast 2 landed a little lift right there. Steel Avenger managed to land a few hits like that one right there on the flipper, but now they are in the corner, but now Steel Avenger in control, despite being the one pushed into a corner, striking with that hammer right there, right onto the underside of the robot right there. Definitely where Steel Avenger wants to be here, because now Beast 2 can't use that flipper very well. These two robots are locked together. I think we might need to get the crew out to separate these two robots if these two can't get apart right now. That hammer is jammed inside the flipper of Beast 2 right there, and when is this fight going to be called off to unstick these robots? Never mind, not needed, because now these two robots are free of each other. And yeah, fight continues. Beast 2 now landing a couple flips of their own here in response to all those hammer attacks. And gone is Steel Avenger right there. Solid performance by Steel Avenger, but it definitely was not enough, because that flipper right there proved to be all business in this matchup right there. And right as soon as those two got locked together and then Beast 2 got free, they went like full power, merciless on Steel Avenger. Took advantage of the fact that they definitely have the lower ground between the two robots, and then just continued to toss them around time and time again until Steel Avenger got launched all the way out of the arena in order for them to win this fight. Great victory by Beast 2, and yeah, moving on will be Beast 2, where they'll take on the winner of Tsunami and Micro, which by the way is happening next actually. So yeah, next up we have the 7-seeded Tsunami, who's going to be taking on the 10-seeded Micro. This one's another one where it's going to come down to ground game right here, but these two use ground game in a different way, because Tsunami tries to win the ground game in order to use that flipper to flip over their opponent, while Micro tries to use the ground game to scoop up their opponents, control them, and drop that saw right on them. However, one thing to watch with Micro is the fact that in all of their fights so far, they have lost that saw partway into the match, which has been critical in a couple of those fights. So right now Micro's going to need to watch out for that, but they're going to probably want to avoid the flipper of Tsunami as well. So I think we got an interesting battle coming, and let's go ahead and get right to this showdown and find out who's going to be the one to advance and take on Beast 2 in the next round. Time for this matchup to begin here, and now Micro trying to get Tsunami at the sides right there and ends up taking a flip as payback right there. That driving tactic did not work out for them right there, at least in that attempt, because now Tsunami landing a couple of beautiful flips right there. But now Micro flips Tsunami right there, charging right in there, and now they have Tsunami up against the rails, dropping that saw, taking them into another corner right there. Excellent stuff from Micro right there, great response, and now sawing into the backside. And now they have them up against another set of rails right there, dropping that saw right there, striking mostly the flipper. Got cut a little bit of the underside right there, but now Tsunami really struggling to struggling to right themselves. They are now taking huge damage to the underside right there. I already see they are very close to control board damage right there. I think Tsunami might have penetrated. Tsunami might have had its bottom penetrated right there. So, yeah, charging right in there, but Micro backs off. But I see smoke coming out of Micro right there. I think those motors might be overheating from pushing around Tsunami so much, but now Tsunami's not doing much better. They are now smoking themselves, and that looks a lot more dense than what Micro had right there. And now Micro has them in the corner once again, sawing right into that flipper. Not sure how much more damage they are doing right now, but either way though, they are controlling the brunt of this match. We are halfway through this one. Both robots are smoking right now, and I'd say Micro has controlled a little bit more of the fight, but Tsunami did just land a nice flip right there, and another nice flip right there. Great fight so far between these two robots once again here. So now charging in once again, Tsunami landing a couple more nice flips right there, showing that that flipper is still active, still powerful, and landing many more great flips to try to come back on points right here. And right now charging at the sides once again is Micro, who's scooping up Tsunami once again. And right now dropping that saw right on that flipper, as now they have Tsunami pinned in the corner right there. Less than a minute to go in this fight. Micro backed off and took a little lift right there. Hasn't really helped them out very much so far. And yeah, here comes Tsunami once again, landing a couple more flips right there. Looked like Micro might have been stuck upside down, so maybe Tsunami should have backed off. But who cares though? This has been such a great fight so far right now. But now Tsunami appeared to be stuck right there, but Micro helped them out in return. Some great sportsmanship so far. Both robots helping each other out because they want to fight this thing out to the very end. But right now Micro is just grinding into the top of that flipper right there as the 10-second mark approaches in this one. And right now Tsunami appears to be ending this fight in a pin. And Micro drops that saw right into the internals as the clock hit 0, and I saw some control board damage right there, right at the last second there. So now we have our very first judge's decision of the night, and it is between Micro and Tsunami. This was a great back and forth fight. Several moments where we saw Tsunami getting underneath and landing some powerful flips with that flipper right there. And on the other hand, we saw Micro scoop up Tsunami several times and drop that saw underneath on them. Aggression and control and weapon usage, I'd say, were all about even between those two robots, but damage was key in this one. Both robots were smoking close to the same time in this match. But Tsunami definitely had, I would say, the more dense smoke between the two robots, along with the fact that their control board was damaged at the end of that match. Not finished, but damaged. Still though, this kind of makes me think Micro might be the one to take this decision, but you cannot excuse those powerful flips from Tsunami, who definitely controlled a big chunk of this match as well. So anything really could happen when this fight goes to the judges. I'd say anything could happen here. Let's find out what the judges had to say. The judges' votes are in, and we have a unanimous decision. The winner is Micro. So Micro will be the one to advance. Looks like they won it based on the damage they did in that fight, and I would probably agree with the decision. Either way, that was a terrific fight. We'd like to see lots of back and forth action, including some great sportsmanship, because I know both these robots got stuck in a position where they could not move at least once in this match, and the other robot helped them out. And that's what War Machines is all about, some great sportsmanship. Puts up some more entertaining fights that way in my eyes. But was a great win by Micro, who will be moving on to the next round, where they have a date with Beast 2 coming. But before we get to that matchup, which will be happening next time, we have 2 matchups left to go in this episode, and the first one is going to be between the 8 and the 9 seed, Big Nipper and Beta. So, the higher seed is Beta, but you really do not want to underestimate Big Nipper, who's 1 seed lower. Both these robots have had some really solid performances and have had some pretty decent losses in 2 of their matchups. Well, in their matchups, regardless. So we got a pretty even showdown between these two, I would say. I think it's going to come down to who can cause more damage first, because both these robots do have damaging weapons in this mod, and yes, Big Nipper's lifter does cause damage, so you can trust me on that. Like, just take the black hole fight, for example, where they plucked off a wheel with that lifter right there, the grabber. And yeah, regardless though, I think we have another great fight coming in this one, and I think let's go ahead and get right to this showdown and find out who's going to be taking on Shrederator in the next round. Let's get right to this one. Time for this matchup to begin here, and right now, Big Nipper underneath Beta. Beta landed a hit, but they are smoking right now, and that is not the good kind of smoke right there. That is very dense smoke. I think Big Nipper did some serious damage with that lifter right there, but now they are taking a bunch of hammer hits. Be careful though, because Big Nipper's definitely susceptible to control board damage right as they have been all season, and definitely Beta's hammer is very much capable of doing some extreme damage. So, charging in there once again, Beta underneath Big Nipper, trying to take them into the floor flipper, and not activating. Is the floor flipper maybe broken or something? No, it's not, because now Beta got the worst of that, because now Big Nipper really taking advantage of that, taking Beta into the corner right there. This is not where Beta wants to be. They are able to hammer right back at Big Nipper like that right there. Pretty nice right there, but Beta is on control board damage. That lifter has done some serious damage, or maybe even the floor flipper as well. But right now, Big Nipper hopping on top of the wedge of Beta. This is not very effective for them. But either way, though, I would probably say Big Nipper is barely winning this fight so far. We're approaching about the halfway point in this match right now. Beta has a solid pin on Big Nipper right now, and the Spikes getting involved in this fight landed a hit on Big Nipper right there. And right now, Big Nipper continuing to climb the wedge. The grabber is doing a solid job of preventing Beta from hitting the more important components on that robot so far. And yeah, we're approaching the 1 minute mark in this fight right now, and Beta doing a very solid job, but Big Nipper as well so far. Been a pretty back and forth fight so far. Notice Big Nipper is getting close to control board damage as well, but now Big Nipper is self-right now, but then takes a huge hit from the floor flipper right there, and now Beta on the top of Big Nipper, where Big Nipper gets the control board KO and wins this matchup. Told you that grabber could do damage right there if you were doubting me, because Big Nipper, as soon as they got underneath Beta, started using that grabber to try to penetrate the underside. Not sure if they did penetrate the underside, but they had to have penetrated something, because they control boarded Beta before Beta can control board them with that hammer. Because you probably could tell Big Nipper was very close to control board KO themselves in this one. So this fight was definitely not as dominant as what others might think. Either way though, another great victory by one robot. Big Nipper's definitely got a big challenge in the next round, because they got Shrederator for their next opponent, and that's going to be a very tough matchup for them, and we'll have to see how they do in the next episode. We got one last fight to determine, and it's in the third quadrant. We got the 6-seeded Gravity, who's going to take on the 11-seeded Aftershock. So yeah, we got another amazing showdown coming between two powerful robots once again, and yeah, Aftershock's definitely going to be one to watch out for in this one, as is Gravity, because both of those have two powerful weapons, two different weapons as well. So yeah, this one's going to come down to who can utilize their weapon the best between the two of them, because I think whoever accomplishes that task is going to win this fight. Can Aftershock get the hits they need to damage Gravity and win this fight, whereas Gravity can get the flips they need to be able to avoid Aftershock from hitting them with those vertical spinners and causing those damage points that Aftershock will be going for in this one. Either way, I think this should be a good fight to close out the night. Let's get right to this one. Time for this matchup to begin here, and here we go. Aftershock landing an early hit to the sides of Gravity. This is exactly where Aftershock wants to be. Aftershock probably wants to avoid that flipper, and they're doing a brilliant job of it so far. and laying some more hits to the backside. Off comes an entire wheel! Wow, I thought this fight was going to be one of the closest ones, but... well, it still could be, regardless, though. Like, I could jinx it right there. But Gravity has already lost one side of mobility in this fight, and it was only like 20 seconds into this fight. Now, Aftershock trying to take advantage of that. They don't want to challenge that flipper, though. That might be unwise. A ton more brilliant hits from Aftershock right there. Once again, who is continuing to knock Gravity off balance, but Gravity lands their first flip of the fight, but unable to really compensate right there for the fact that they have only one-sided drive. I saw a wheel cover just fly off right there, but Aftershock lost part of their weapon right there. Not good for Aftershock right there, who is known for some weapon reliability problems, and that is it right there. So yeah, now Aftershock trying to hit the underside with what they have left of that spinner right now, and definitely unbalanced, but Gravity needs to self-right in order to be able to take advantage of this, but Aftershock is not allowing that to happen despite losing half of that weapon right there. Halfway through this match, and I'd say Aftershock is just dominating this fight so far right now. Off comes the other wheel cover, but off comes the rest of that spinner on Aftershock. Aftershock is now without a weapon for the rest of this fight. Gravity may just need one flip. I may have jinxed it right there when I thought this fight wasn't going to be close right there. Because now Gravity just needs one flip and they can win this fight. But Aftershock's going to try to deny that from happening. Use that front right there. They're to their advantage right now, and they're getting underneath Gravity pretty well in controlling that match. They might want to get out of that corner though before it's too late. So now Aftershock continuing to charge right in there. Gravity really struggling with one-sided drive right there. Really crab walking, but they are leaving their circumference, so we won't see a countdown in this one. And yeah, but right now Aftershock continuing to charge in there once again, flipping Gravity once again. Gravity's just been really struggling just to get the one shot they need to win this fight. Less than 30 seconds to go in this fight. Aftershock doing a great job without that primary weapon right now of avoiding that flipper right there. And yeah, right now hovering right over the floor flipper right there. Aftershock takes a huge hit, but Aftershock lands right side up and gonna come in for one final push, but doesn't succeed at it. I wonder if Aftershock is dealing with drive issues of their own here. Regardless, this fight is in the hands of the judges right now, and a lot happened in this match. Yeah, so Aftershock started off with a bang very early on in this fight, getting underneath Gravity, letting hit after hit, getting to the sides of Gravity, and eventually got a wheel that left Gravity with one-sided drive for the rest of the fight, and Gravity really struggling taking advantage of that. They did land a flip or two here or there, but I don't think it's going to be enough to overtake. But the thing that could make this close, and the reason I could be wrong about what I just said right there, is the fact that Aftershock was the one to lose their primary weapon in this match. Those weapon issues came right back to bite Aftershock right there, and could have definitely hurt them here. Could losing that weapon, which is major damage points to Gravity, cost them in this match? I'd say let's find out what the judges had to say here. So yeah, the judges' votes are in, and we have a unanimous decision. The winner is Aftershock. So Aftershock is going to be moving on, definitely with their high control of this match, and some of the damage they were able to cause with those vertical spinners will cause them, the underdog, to advance to the next round, where they have a date with Eric coming in the next round. So Gravity's not going to get the rematch they were hoping for, as they were probably hoping to become 2-0 over the meme robot, but instead Aftershock is going to get their chance to take on the meme robot. But yeah, great victory by Aftershock. Sadly, we're going to have to say it's goodbye to all 8 robots who fell in this round. Foxic, Beta, Lucid Dream, Noisy Cricket, Steel Avenger, Tsunami, Kronic, and Gravity. We'll have to say goodbye to all 8 of those robots. But gotta thank them for all the amazing fights they have given us this season so far. And hopefully we'll see a lot of them in a bonus fight. So yeah, so coming in the next episode, we are now down to 8 robots, and 6 of these robots will advance to the next bracket that will start in the 3rd episode of this 4-episode series. This will conclude it for episode 1, where in the next round we will see a matchup between the 1 and the 9 seed Shrederator and Big Nipper. We'll see a matchup between Bullfrog and Megabyte, the 4 and the 12 seed. On the other side, we'll see a matchup between Beast 2 and Micro, the 2 and the 10 seed. And then right below there, we'll see the 11 and the 14 seed Aftershock and Eric. We got 4 great matchups coming. This bracket will conclude, and yeah, I'm looking forward to all of this. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll hopefully see you next time for part 2 of this bracket.